The satellite van LED billboard parked outside the State Farm Arena on the day of Claressa Shields' weigh-in was not a marketing stunt. It was a verdict. With Remy Ma's new diss track, Wanna Go, blasting out of the truck into the parking lot where Shields was stepping on the scale for her fight against K. Scott, the boxing world got a one-of-a-kind public lesson in how a battle rapper can hijack a boxing event without throwing a single punch. And 9 days later, when Claressa finally broke her silence in a podcast appearance and tried to play the whole thing off as fabrication by the fans and bloggers, she did not just expose herself. She exposed the entire machinery she has been standing on. That's what we're pulling apart today, and I promise you, when we get to the part where her own words from 9 days ago collide with her words this week, the picture becomes uglier than anything the blogs have been saying. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. To understand what happened, you have to rewind to early 2025. Claressa Shields had 2 Olympic gold medals, multiple world titles across 3 weight classes, and a partnership with Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions, MVP, that was supposed to be her megaphone into mainstream sports. Amanda Serrano, the Puerto Rican legend, was already the MVP crown jewel. Serrano had just come off the historic trilogy with Katie Taylor that broke pay-per-view records for women's boxing and put the entire sport on a Netflix-enabled global stage. Alycia, the Baumgardner, the undisputed women's junior lightweight champion, then signed with MVP in March 2025, completing what most analysts called the single most valuable women's boxing roster ever assembled on one platform. Claressa was supposed to be the head of that class. Instead, she became the problem child. While Serrano was chasing Christy Martin's all-time women's boxing knockout record, a number that had stood for decades at 32, and Baumgardner was preparing for super featherweight title defenses, Claressa was publicly feuding with her own partner Papoose, leaking alleged text message screenshots, and burnishing a public image of a boxer who would rather argue on a podcast than negotiate a fight. The stakes right now are huge because Claressa's entire post-Olympic business case rested on her being the face of that MVP roster. The moment she became radioactive to MVP, her platform evaporated. That's the context. That's why every word Remy Ma rapped, and every syllable Claressa spoke back, is a multi-million-dollar event. And you're about to hear exactly why. Let me give you the surface evidence first, because this is where the receipts live. Piece 1, the song drop. According to Rap Radar and The Shade Room, Remy Ma released Wanna Go with a teaser snippet that included visual footage from inside a Rolls-Royce with Baumgardner in the passenger seat and Serrano riding along, both of them glammed up and throwing up middle fingers alongside Remy. The clip hit Instagram within hours and ended up on every boxing podcast and hip-hop blog in the same news cycle. The line "bitches want all of my hand-me-downs" and "if you really wanna go" became the lyrical anchor. Piece 2. The song dropped the day of the weigh-in. That timing is not an accident. A scheduled fight week has a media vacuum between the weigh-in and the fight where a promoter's marketing machine typically owns the entire narrative. Remy Ma inserted herself directly into that vacuum and stole the oxygen. Piece 3. The LED billboard van. Reported by Scoop B and corroborated on boxing Twitter, an LED announcement truck was parked outside the State Farm Arena in Atlanta blaring the Wanna Go lyric video while Claressa was inside going through her final pre-fight obligations. That is a publicly available image that the entire internet captured on cell phones. Piece 4. Survivable fight. Despite all of it, Claressa did her job in the ring. According to ESPN and DAZN, Claressa Shields TKO'd K. Scott at 138 of the 6th round in their WBC and WBA middleweight title fight. She won back belts she had vacated to move up to heavyweight, and she did it the day after a hip-hop diss track made her the most searched boxer in the world. So when someone tells you Remy's record hurt Claressa's brand, the actual receipts say the opposite. Claressa walked into the ring with the loudest week of press of her life and finished the fight anyway. Piece 5. The post-fight pushback. Multiple Shade Room and Instagram screenshots captured Claressa responding to critics directly after the fight week with shade-laced replies accusing her detractors of being pressed ever since you left me. A phrase that seemed like an oblique shot at Papoose's separation from Remy Ma. And that right there is your bridge into the deeper story. Because the song, the billboard, the truck, that's the surface. The next layer is the people who made all of it possible. And oh, do I have more? Because what I just laid out is only the part the blogs ran with. The hidden layer is the alliance math, and it is uglier than anyone wants to admit. Let me build it. Let me give you the cultural evidence, and this is where it stops being entertainment and starts being an indictment. According to a widely circulated Instagram post captured by the Shade Room and reposted across boxing communities, Amanda Serrano publicly wrote, word for word, "You are unquestionably the quote. No one could ever do that to you." That phrase, the quote, is Amanda publicly anointing Claressa as the GWOT, the greatest woman of all time in boxing. And Claressa accepted it. She's referenced it in interviews. She has called herself the GWOT in title defenses. So now think about the timeline. Pre-March 2025, Claressa and Amanda were sister queens on the same MVP roster. Amanda was publicly endorsing Claressa's legacy. Baumgardner signed with MVP, did promo shoots with Serrano, did joint press conferences, was even at New York Knicks games sitting next to Serrano, all of it caught on fan cam and shared across social media. Claressa was in the inner circle of that exact group. She literally posted a photo holding Baumgardner, smiling together. So when Claressa went on her recent podcast appearance and said the now infamous line, "They got to team up against me, y'all can't beat me one-on-one," what she was describing was a coalition that she herself was in until very recently. That's the hypocrisy. She wasn't a victim of a team-up. She was a former member who got herself removed. Listen, I just have to say this. Let me be fair to her for a second. There's a counter-narrative. The counter-argument is that Claressa's brand has always walked its own line, that she has historically had friction with promoters because she wants creative control, and that her clashes with Papoose and Remy Ma have nothing to do with her MVP teammates. The coalition is just Remy, not the whole roster. That is a fair argument. And I'm going to dismantle it succinctly. Baumgardner and Serrano being featured in the Wanna Go teaser video is itself the team-up. You don't ride in a Rolls Royce on camera with two MVP-signed fighters the day before a fight if you are not coordinating. The video is not fan cam. It is produced footage. And reports indicate that Papoose's lawyers sent a cease and desist letter to Remy Ma's label over the previous "Why you effing lying" track, which means the Papoose-Claressa apparatus knew this rematch was coming and the response was prepared. So the team-up didn't happen to Claressa. The team-up was organized. The momentum was executed. And Claressa, meanwhile, refused to stay quiet and kept lighting every single fuse herself. That's the part the headlines never capture. Now let's shift gears because the story underneath the story is the part that matters most. Now we're going to talk about why all of this is happening, and no, it's not about ego. It's about the architecture of women's boxing, the publishing economics behind a diss track, and the strategic positioning of three MVP-signed fighters whose contracts quietly determine who gets to fight whom in 2026. Pay attention. Here is the deepest layer. The diss track is not a song. The diss track is a marketing tactic. Remy Ma is a verified platinum-selling artist with Terror Bands, Fat Joe, and the Terror Squad lineage. She has distribution through a label infrastructure that pays royalties on streaming platforms every single time that song gets a play. Wanna Go reportedly hit streaming playlists within 48 hours and was serviced to blogs by accredited PR reps, which means it has the professional fingerprints of a deliberate rollout, not a loose freestyle. Compare that to Claressa's recent rap output. Claressa tried to enter the music space. And I want to be respectful here, but her delivery, the cadence, the breath control, the punchline construction has been widely mocked online. To the point that even Claressa's allied commentators have privately admitted the music was a distraction. So, what did Remy actually do? She turned Claressa into content that monetizes for Remy. Every blog post, every breakdown, every commentary video, including this one, drives streaming traffic back to Wanna Go. That is not a diss. That is a counter-programming operation. And the math on it is simple. If a diss track trends for 2 weeks, that's how many millions of streams. That's money in Remy's pocket from her actual craft. Claressa, meanwhile, made $0 on the song. She made $0 on the Billboard. She made $0 on the podcast traffic Remy created. Remy Ma got paid to spark a thing that Claressa's camp then had to fight for free. Do everybody understand how crazy that is? In every other athlete versus rapper beef in history, the rapper wins because the rapper has a monetizable product and the athlete does not. Tyson versus anyone from the rap world. Mayweather versus anyone. The rapper monetizes. The athlete defends. It's the same playbook here. That's layer 3 evidence, the structural asymmetry of who owns the platform. And here's the second systemic angle. MVP's contract structure. Multiple industry sources have reported that MVP operates with multi-year, multi-fight promotional contracts that include exclusivity clauses on broadcast, sponsorship, and digital platform tie-ins. Baumgardner's signing with MVP in March was reportedly a multi-year deal. Serrano's existing deal predates Baumgardner's. Both have their own broadcast commitments. Claressa was reported to be effectively excluded from MVP's promotional calendar going forward, reportedly banned in the sense that MVP would not promote her fights or include her on the platform's marquee cards, meaning her matchmaking options in the US just shrank dramatically. That is why her team pivoted to fighting Kay Scott, a 42-year-old Australian challenger with zero top 10 pedigree, on a smaller card. Because MVP wasn't promoting her, the available opponents narrowed. And Kay Scott was the available opponent. Now think about this in the scale of an entire sport. If Claressa is the consensus GWOT in women's boxing and her promotional lane is functionally closed by MVP at the very moment Serrano is chasing history and Baumgardner is defending titles, women's boxing is being asked to tell the story of its best fighter on a non-MVP platform. That's a fundamental restructuring of the sport's center of gravity. And the third systemic angle is the publishing vocal attack duality that flanks both sides. Papoose's recent Instagram activity and clips captured by bloggers show this, has included multiple posts about Remy Ma, including captions referencing being a man of integrity and moving on, alongside posts featuring Claressa prominently. The Papoose, Claressa public coupling, regardless of whatever private status they have, has become a co-branded media entity. Every Claressa boxing comment is now a Papoose public statement. Every Papoose post is now a Claressa endorsement. That ties a boxing promoter's promotional lane to a hip-hop feud. And when a venue or a network looks at buying a Claressa Shields fight card, the question they're asking internally is, what's the offering headline on this? And the offering headline right now is a beef that pays Remy Ma's label. So Claressa is structurally expensive in a way that no other active women's boxer is. That is the reality. The system is working in real time. And we need to talk about the most damning layer, because it's the part that's going to convert you from a casual viewer to a subscriber. The biggest truth is this. Claressa Shields is unwinnable right now. Let that sit. The two-time Olympic gold medalist, the GWOT, the undisputed middleweight, the former undisputed heavyweight, won back the WBC and WBA middleweight belts, scored a sixth-round TKO, made the cover of every boxing outlet with a positive headline, and still does not have a clean W. Here's why. Claressa's public petition against Remy Ma is two-pronged. The first prong is this is not beef. Why do people keep saying it is beef? The second prong is they only teamed up because they can't beat me one-on-one. Those two prongs contradict each other on their face. If there is no beef, there is nothing to team up against. If there is beef, then yes, the team-up is logical. You cannot hold both positions simultaneously and expect the public to take either one seriously. And that's the cycle she's stuck in. Every interview she does goes like this. She opens by saying nothing is happening, then describes everything that is happening in vivid detail, then closes by insulting the people she's describing, then closes again by saying nothing is happening. That is not an emotional response to a problem. That is an identity. And the reason she can't break out of it is that her entire current public identity is built on the Papoose relationship and the GWAT brand. Those two pillars were each strong when they stood alone. Papoose as the hip-hop figure who publicly defended Remy Ma's honor. Claressa as the boxer who defined women's middleweight. Both those soft brands have now been degraded by the same controversy, Papoose's infidelity allegations that Remy has continued to surface publicly, and Claressa's boxing commentary circuit where she keeps opening her mouth on the wrong topics. And so she has a very small number of public positions in front of her. She can escalate, which Remy will monetize again. She can go silent, which Remy's loyalists will mock. She can pivot to music, which she cannot actually do at a competitive level. Or she can keep fighting, which she is reportedly doing, but with a narrowing matchmaking pool and an MVP relationship that may not survive the rest of 2026. None of those are wins. They're all survival motions. That is what I mean by unwinnable. She is a brilliant fighter trapped in a public relations architecture that spends her talent instead of multiplying it. The brightest boxer in the women's game is, right now, her own worst promoter. The biggest opponent is not in the ring. The biggest opponent is the microphone in front of her. Listen, I want everybody to understand something. There are people in this comment section who will tell you I am hating. That is not what is happening here. What I am is honest about what's happening to a fighter I genuinely respect. And what's happening is that she is being outmaneuvered by a more experienced entertainment operator. That is the entire video. That is the conclusion. And if you made it this far, you made it because you want the truth, and the truth is uglier than the blogs. And now the part that matters most. The heroes in the story are not who the blogs are telling you they are. The hero is Remy Ma. Period. Remy Ma is undefeated in this engagement. Let me say that again. Remy Ma is undefeated. She released the original diss track, was reportedly cease and desisted, went around the legal pressure by releasing a new one with the Rolls-Royce visual that featured 2 MVP-signed fighters, and the new one still trended. She drove a billboard to the venue. She watched the fight card play out without making another public statement during the actual fight. She let her work stand alone. And then, when Claressa broke her silence 9 days later, Remy did not respond with a third diss track. She responded, according to multiple blogger captures, with silence. That is discipline. That's what 48 laws of power, that's what Sun Tzu, that's what strategic restraint looks like. And while Remy is winning without even being outside, Claressa is doing podcasts at a clip of once every 3 to 4 days, every appearance recycling the same defensive talking points, every public post opening another lane for Remy's producers. While Claressa's brand is being slowly eroded by her own commentary, Amanda Serrano is breaking the all-time women's boxing knockout record on live broadcast, the longest-standing single-category record in the sport. While Claressa is arguing with bloggers on Instagram, Alycia Baumgardner is in camp preparing for her next undisputed junior lightweight defense under MVP's promotional umbrella. While Claressa's matchmaking pool tightens, the entire MVP women's roster is collecting belts and headlines. The heroes are rising. The villain is talking. History rewards the person who keeps the belt and shuts up. And that is Amanda Serrano. That is Alycia Baumgardner. That is Remy Ma. 3 women. 3 lanes. All of them moving in the same direction. And all of them moving away from a single point of friction that the public keep calling the drama. The drama is the dead weight. The drama is the thing getting dropped. And when the dust settles on 2026, the people who held regional, sanctioning body, and MVP organizational power will be the names you remember. The names arguing on the panel will be the footnote. That is the contrast one-liner of the entire era. While 1 woman is talking, 3 women are winning. Let me close this out. We are in the early innings of a 2026 that is going to reshape women's boxing entirely. 2 upcoming developments you need to track like a hawk. The first is Amanda Serrano's next fight. She has reportedly already tied Christy Martin's all-time KO record of 32 per multiple boxing outlets, and 1 more stoppage would put her in a category that no other woman has ever reached. Keep your eyes on the MPW event calendar. The next MPW card is where history either gets tied again or gets broken, and either way the storyline lands on a fighter that is not Claressa Shields. The second development is the Baumgardner signing's downstream impact. With Baumgardner reportedly locked in on a multi-year MVP deal, the next 2 years of women's super featherweight and junior lightweight will be steered by a promoter who is willing to put women's boxing on TikTok live for free. That changes what a title defense is worth. It changes what the purses look like. It changes what you, the viewer at home, are worth to these promoters. And the third thing you need to watch is exactly what Claressa does with her next interview. Because if she keeps the no beef line in rotation, the entire narrative flips on her. Every future diss track becomes more potent because her public denials feed the importance of the song. If she changes course and accepts the framing of the beef as real, she transfers that energy into her own promotional lane, which means Remy Ma becomes the main event for the next 12 months of boxing drama. Either road ends with Remy Ma monetizing it. So tune in. Subscribe. Stay locked. Because this 21-minute breakdown is not the end of the story. It's the prologue. The next video is going to tear into the contract structure of MVP, the alleged Papoose cease and desist, and the specific clauses that determine which fighters can fight which under which promotional streamers, and what that means for the next 12 months of women's boxing on Jake Paul's clock. That's where we are headed. Hit subscribe if you want to be in the room when that drops, because there's only one bed and the next analysis is going to be even more honest than this one.